Yeah, thank you. It's exactly what this is. The U.S. is squeezing a dry sponge, okay? I have delayed the inevitable. Biden and McCarthy are racing to sell the debt deal to Congress.
As for the debt ceiling, the latest warning from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen estimates that the government could run out of money to pay all of its debts on time, the so-called X date on June 5th, 1 week from today. CNN chief correspondent Manu Raju.
Ultimately, the White House was forced to negotiate and make a range of concessions that is angering both sides of the aisle. Some liberals upset and also some conservatives upset with the deal that McCarthy cut. Now, a little bit about the deal. 2-year suspension of the debt limit. Also would ensure that veterans' medical care is not impacted by the spending cuts that would happen across the board on domestic programs. It would expand work requirements for food stamp recipients, and it has a whole host of other issues such as cutting IRS funding, as well as rescinding unspent COVID aid. It would actually expedite construction of a pipeline in West Virginia, a big priority for West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. But now what the White House has been trying to tell Democrats, it could have been a lot worse. One of the things that did not make it in this bill was to impose new work requirements for recipients of the Medicaid health insurance program.
Bro, oh my God. Increasing the no eligibility limit for any kind of welfare programs from 50 to 54 instead of 55, which is what they were planning on doing, is so psychotic, okay? Is so incredibly fucked up. Like, it's in a just world. First of all, if this was France, motherfuckers would be up in arms, okay? It's also like not even beneficial. Like, it makes no sense. You just decided like, hey man, if you're in between the ages of 50 to 54, fuck you. That's all you say. If you're a working poor person in between the age of 50 to 54, fuck you. We hate you. That's it. That's literally all you're doing at that point. It's so wild.
Commentator and Washington Post opinion columnist Catherine Rampell, and former Democratic Congressman from New York, Max Rose, who's also, of course, a veteran of the war in Afghanistan.
Why are we framing this from the right? Because it's fucking CNN. And that's like the entire point of CNN. It's the entire point of mainstream media in general, but especially CNN, which decided that actually we need to be more right-wing. We're everyone keeps calling us libtards, and we got to be more right-wing, actually. That's what we're supposed to do. Let's get to this guy, Mr. Purple Heart over here.
If the White House messaging is, hey, it could have been worse, is that really enough to convince progressives?
It will be enough for it to pass. It will not be enough to convince progressives. Now, with this bill, the administration has certainly cemented the fact that it is absolutely, resolutely committed to bipartisanship and normalcy.
Oh, shut the Oh, God, dude. Oh, God. It is so hard for me to not make jokes about, like, suspecting what he got a Purple Heart for here, okay? Talking about the fucking bipartisanship and celebrating it. Dude, there is no reason, okay? There's no reason to increase the SNAP benefit work requirements from the age of 50 to 54, okay? The bipartisanship came from the fact that it was 54 and not 55, because the Republicans wanted 55, which means, guys, if you're over the age of 50 and you're so fucking poor that you are eligible for food assistance, okay, food stamps, now you have to work at the age of 50 to 54. Why? What is the reason for that? Explain to me why. It's insane. These are people who have nothing in general, okay? They're already some of the poorest people in society, and now you're, like, implementing additional hurdles that's going to make it harder for them to receive it. That's the only reason. Like, who out here is going, who needs to get the fuck back to work? 54-year-olds, okay? 54-year-olds who are currently on unemployment and also food stamps. Those are the guys who I'm always like, fuck those guys. They got to they're so lazy. Like, why did you do that? Yeah, thank you. It's exactly what this is. The U.S. is squeezing a dry sponge, okay? Thank God for civility on that shit. Anyway, student loan relief was not in the deal, for the record. That's why they're not talking about it. Tax hikes, which the Democrats had targeted wealthy Americans for new tax hikes, but there are no new taxes here. No clean energy repeal, no key provisions on clean energy are from the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, are actually in the bill either. The only thing that is really bad is the 50 to 54 work requirements. The reason why maybe the right is like, not the right, but like the reason why the media is looking at this as like a kind of a dub is because nothing truly horrible occurred in this process, specifically related to the debt thing, other than what I'm mentioning. Aren't they restarting loan payments? Yeah, but that is f***ing bullshit. However, that is not related to this deal, this negotiation. The IRS was supposed to get $80 billion, okay, in funds. The only thing that they were able to claw back on the IRS part, I think it was like $1.9 billion or something. Yeah, a win for Democrats was securing $80 billion for a decade to help with the Internal Revenue Service, to enforce tax code in last year's Inflation Reduction Act. And I think they were able to take down $20 billion off of the $80 billion over the next decade. Debt limit deal includes changes to SNAP that eliminate work requirements for veterans and homeless people regardless of age, while increasing the age threshold for work requirements from 49 to 54 for adults without children, per source familiar. The changes would phase out in 2030. For TANF, the GOP's work requirements for cash assistance recipients has been included but modified to ensure states can continue to support those families and their children. No changes to Medicaid. People will look to this and say, oh, this is a win for Biden. It's not a win for Biden because this didn't even need to happen, okay? That's it. Not positive. What should you have done? Man, if only there was like a lot of videos that I did on the subject, even talk to like subject matter experts, as a matter of fact. That's a great question, chatter. Here it is.
It sounds...
You can listen to the conversation I had with David Dayen in my latest YouTube video. Well, not the latest one, but Republicans are holding America hostage. We went through some of the avenues where, we could have prevented all of this from happening, including using the majority that we had in the Senate and the House, utilizing the 14th Amendment, things of that nature, even after it was too late. David said the debt ceiling negotiations was like a gun on the table that you let the other side grab and hold to your head. Yeah. I'm not watching that whole thing, little bro. Okay, well, then don't watch it. Then motherfucker be like, I don't want to learn, actually. You idiot, you stupid idiot. I'm here to just ask questions. Oh, you fool. You thought I wanted to learn? What are you, fucking stupid? No, I'm just here to talk shit.
Look, I look at this deal and say, how is it any different than what we would have reasonably expected to get from the usual annual appropriations process? It's really not that different. Republicans didn't get the draconian cuts that they asked for. They didn't get the Medicaid work requirements. They didn't get some of the other things that I was worried about, including basically undermining the entire regulatory state. They basically got flat spending, which again is what I would have expected coming out of the appropriations process. So the question is, fine, but what was it all for, right? We've gone through all of this drama. We've gone through economic turmoil, basically embarrassing ourselves on the world stage, Biden having to cut his Asia trip short, the G7 kind of being overshadowed by all of this, not to mention probably higher borrowing costs as a result of some market stresses. And we ended up where we would have been had this whole brinksmanship episode never happened. So on the one hand, I'm glad that we don't look like we're about to have a financial apocalypse, but like, what was the point? We could have avoided all of this.
How do you feel about IRS reform?
Well, they're cutting about a quarter of the funding that was appropriated to the IRS last year, which I think is actually quite a bad thing. That money has a huge return on investment. Making it easier for rich people to cheat on their taxes doesn't seem like the thing you would do if you really cared about getting deficits under control.
First of all,
Yes.
Kevin McCarthy has to get over half of his own caucus to support this before it even gets to the floor, and they have not confirmed that they will do this.
I love this guy literally being like, nobody's happy, and that's a sign of good negotiations. Who the fuck is writing for just the sake of negotiations? Like, what are you, a negotiation? Are you Mr. Negotiation? I don't understand. Why are you why are you writing for like gridlock? Well, at least spirited debate happened. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Do you not have interests, needs, demands? You know what I mean? Like, it blows my fucking mind. This guy's just like, sorry, I'm Mr. Negotiation. Negotiation pervert here. Love to see a good negotiation. When both sides are angry, when they leave the table, well, that's all the better. Love that. Love me a good argument. It's such a weird stance to take.
We've got good news. We've got just spoke with Speaker McCarthy,
and we've reached a bipartisan budget agreement.
God, this shit sucks so bad. This is why I like didn't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because like ultimately it could have all been fucking avoided. There was no reason to have this happen to begin with. And like, yeah, Republicans got way less than they wanted, but like, it's still fucking stupid. Like that, it should not have happened. You know what I mean? God, I'm so triggered. I don't want to watch this anymore. I can't do this.